The Economic Stability Indicator tool is a tool developed by the Children's Defense Fund to illustrate the interactions between wages, tax credits, tax liabilities, public programs, and how they can or cannot bring a family to a place of economic stability. In this video, I will be running a scenario for a family of 3 living in Dakota County. We're going to look at their pathway to economic stability and highlight the various points at which they're going to experience benefit cliffs. Benefit cliffs occurs when any increase in the family's income leads to the decrease or loss of one or more of their public benefits. And the increase in their income does not make up for or outweigh the loss or decrease in their program benefits. So let's just jump right into it. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll be doing a scenario for a family of 3 here living in Dakota County. So that's 1 parent and 2 children. The questions in ESI are pretty straightforward. So I'm not going to go too in-depth into it. However, if you would like an in-depth analysis of ESI or a walkthrough of ESI, please feel free to contact me. My information would be down below. So for this family, we would start them at about $10 an hour, which brings them to about $20,800 every year. In order to look at the effect that public programs have on the family's bottom line, we have developed what we call the bare bones basic needs budget. It's called bare bones because it only includes those things that we consider to be pillars of economic stability, including food, healthcare, housing, childcare, transportation, and other necessities, which includes diapers and toiletries. This is not a living wage budget because it does not include utilities, credit card payments, car payments, entertainment, just any other expenses that families have within their living wage budget. The estimated numbers in each expense category is customizable to any family size, the ages of the kids, and the county that the family lives in within the state of Minnesota. We get these numbers from USDA, healthcare, the Kaiser Healthcare Calculator, etc. If you would like to learn more on how the bare bones basic needs budget is calculated and where we're getting these numbers, please click on the basic needs expenses. We'll have more information there for you. So let's go back to our family. Here is the family's bare bones basic needs budget. So we go down here, we see the total of that amount is about $4,600 a month. We make several assumptions in ESI, and one of those assumptions is that if a family is eligible for a program, they're enrolled in the program. So here you see for each of these categories under family supports, you see the estimated amount of that family's benefit for each of these programs that they're eligible for. So here this family is eligible for WIC, the Minnesota Family Investment Program, which is the MFIP program. So they will receive the food benefit and the child care benefit at this point. We see here that the family is also eligible for medical assistance for adults and medical assistance for children, Section 8 energy assistance, and then that Minnesota Family Investment Program, the child care component. Because this is a working family, they're also eligible for several of these tax credits. In ESI, we look at programs as expense reducers and not income enhancers. We call them expense reducers because with the exception of the cash portion of the Minnesota Family Investment Program, all of these programs really are not cash into the family's pockets. Instead, they go towards reducing the family's expenses for these different expense categories. So for example, for food, the family's food expense is $515. And if they're enrolled in all of these programs for which they're eligible for, their food expense is reduced to about $89 a month. And then with healthcare, they're enrolled in medical assistance, their healthcare expense would be reduced to about $0. So just looking at that at face value, you see here that this family expense before they're enrolled in public programs is about $4,600 every month. With their income, they're about almost $3,000 in the hole every month. However, if they're enrolled in the program, which are expense reducers, you see their expenses are reduced to about $1,500 every month. And with their income, they have about $218 left over, as well as their tax credit benefits. So now we will go to the net resources graph line to look at this family's pathway to economic stability and highlight the various points at which they experience benefit cliffs. Before we go into that, just want to orient you to the graph a little bit. This black line here is the break-even point. So it's where the family's reduced expense is equals to their income. So it's where their income and their reduced expense zeros each other out. This blue line here is reduced expense. So actually income minus reduced expense. And this blue line represents what's left over. So when that family bring in their income and their reduced expense, where they're at once they have income. And this gold line here then is reduced expense, income minus reduced expense, and then what's left over plus the tax credits. So just to make that simpler, this is the reduced expense, the income minus the reduced expense without tax credits. And this is the income minus reduced expenses with tax credits. So you see here the huge difference that tax credits make in a family's bottom line. So when I ran the scenario, we did a family of 3 at about $10 an hour, 40 hours a week. That's about $20,800 every year, which is about $1,700 a month. So this is where that family is at when in the results that we just looked at previously. On the pathway to economic stability, this family experienced the loss of program and their first benefit cliff at about 120% of federal poverty guidelines, or about $2,300 a month. So this is where the family would lose their MFIP benefits, or the Minnesota Family Investment Program benefits. At this point, the family would be enrolled in SNAP and basic sliding fee childcare. At this point, the family is still enrolled in WIC. They're still enrolled in the medical assistance programs. They still have their housing benefits, as well as their tax credits as well. Here is where the family would lose the medical assistance for adults. At this point, they will have to be enrolled in Minnesota Care, and they'll have to pay a premium for their Minnesota Care benefits. And at this point, they're still enrolled in SNAP. They're still enrolled in WIC. They still have their housing benefits. And then they have their childcare benefits as well. And then they have that medical assistance for children. I do want to point out, though, that as the family's income increases, even though they're still enrolled in those programs, the value of the program decreases over time. So their program benefits is decreasing as their income increases. So you see here that this family is about $1,700 when we ran the scenario. Even when they're about $2,500, which is almost $1,000 increase in their income, you see that they don't have that value. You cannot see that value of that increase in income. You see half of that value of that increase in income because the rest of their benefits are decreasing over time. So even though they have an increase in income, you don't see a huge increase in what's left over for them because of the decreases that are occurring within those benefits. At about $2,900 a month is where the family would lose their SNAP benefit. So at this point, they have no food benefit program at all. This is where they fall off of it. And again, you see here, the family income increases over time. However, that increase is not really making a huge difference. You don't see a whole lot of what's left over because again, their program benefits for all of the other programs that they're enrolled in is decreasing over time. The family would lose their housing benefits between $3,800 and $4,000 a month. So that's where they'll lose their housing benefits. And then about $4,200 a month, the family loses their Minnesota care benefits. So at this point, the family still have medical assistance for children. They're still enrolled in WIC. They still have those child care benefits. However, the parents can no longer be enrolled in Minnesota Care because of this increase in income. So they'll have to be enrolled in advanced premium tax credits. The family experienced their steepest cliff when they lose child care and the child care assistance program, as well as medical assistance for children, as well as WIC, at about $4,700 a month. So this is where the family experienced the biggest cliff. And you see here that because they lost childcare and medical assistance and WIC at the same time, you see this puts the family back below their break-even point. So that means that they're barely even breaking even with what they're bringing in versus what their expenses are. And because this family had young children, the loss of childcare and the loss of medical assistance for children, as well as the loss of WIC, all combined, makes for a very, very steep benefit cliff. I do want to point out that benefit cliffs can look differently for a family based on the size of the family, based on the ages of the children, and then the county that the family is living in the state of Minnesota. A lot of other analysis can be done in the Economic Stability Indicator tool. If you're interested in learning more about ESI or benefit cliffs, or if you're interested in doing a walkthrough with me, as I mentioned earlier, my information will be posted below. Thank you, and this is all I'll share for today.